thank you.
And this is the volume.
Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. If we could please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, today's the Thursday, June 4th, 2020, Town of Riverhead Planning Board meeting. First item on our agenda tonight is application for 817 Pulaski Street. It's Pulaski Street Realty Company, LLC. John Flood is a planner, and he's gonna call the applicant and see if we can get him on the phone.
Kim Judd.
Hi, Kim, it's John Flood. We're addressing your application.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna go through my staff report very briefly. So the planning department has received and reviewed a site plan application to construct a two-story self-storage building with a footprint of 25,025 square feet building with associated parking, lighting, drainage, and related improvements on a parcel of land located in the Industrial C zoning use district at 817 Pulaski Street. With regards to seeker, it is an unlisted action pursuant to Part 17. Coordinated review is optional and is not recommended. Staff recommends the planning board assume lead agency status and issue a negative declaration based as proposed development will not result in a significant increase in traffic. The proposed industrial use is in conformance with Industrial C zoning. The stormwater runoff will be managed on site, and the proposed development will not significantly impact the character of the surrounding neighborhood. The subject parcel is a 3.5 acre parcel of land located on the southwest corner of Pulaski Street and Marcy Avenue. The zoning and surrounding and adjacent properties is residential, industrial, consisting of RA40, Industrial C, and Village Center and Potomac River Community Zoning Districts. The existing brewery on site is located at Pulaski Street with storage buildings and offices along Marcy Avenue and Cradleville Avenue. The site is presently improved with 12,378 square foot block building for brewery manufacturing and tasting room, a 4,200 square foot metal building for dry storage, and approximately 1,000 foot metal building for storage, and a 1,900 square foot story frame building for office space. Sewage disposal calculations will need to be revised to include the outdoor patio and seating area along the southern side of the block building, which was not calculated in the original sewage calculations. With regards to parking, the application proposes to add 11 additional spaces to the site. The site currently has 21 spaces for brewery and manufacturing, 10 spaces for office, 11 spaces for manufacturing, and proposed 11 additional for the proposed two-story warehouse, totaling 53 required parking spaces. The site currently provides 103 parking spaces for the site. It is noted that there are 9 existing parking stalls which will encroach into the town right-of-way along Marcy Avenue. Planning staff recommends limiting these parking stalls and food table from the town's right-of-way and relocate all required and proposed parking on site. Parking calculations will also need to be revised to include outdoor patio and seating along the southern side of the block building, and this needs to be shown on the site plan.
Good, that's a question I had. Where are they? They're not on site.
Yeah, you're gonna have to revise the plans. With regards to lighting, the photometric lighting plan demonstrates that there will be no light trespass onto the neighboring properties. All proposed lighting fixtures comply with the 16-foot maximum mounting height, and all fixtures have proposed color temperature of 3,000 degrees Kelvin. The Suffolk County Planning Commission made this determine that it was a local, no significant countywide and intercommunity impact, and it's a matter of local determination. Regarding the Riverhead Highway Department, they agree that with staff that the parking along Marcy Avenue and town right-of-way must be removed and relocate on site, and there can be no parking in the town right-of-way. Regarding Riverhead Engineering Department, their comments were more in line with that the applicant will need to file a SWIP to manage the on-site drainage and erosion control. Fire marshal comments are forthcoming, and the applicant will be supplying floor plan for the fire marshal's review. The Riverhead Water District has a 10-inch water main along Pulaski Street, which will supply the site, and staff recommends the plan board classify the action as unlisted, assume the agency without the need for coordinated review under SECRA, and issue a negative declaration for the proposed action. Does the board have any questions?
I have a question for you. On that right-of-way on Pulaski and Marcy, which is shown here on the site plan, there's 7 stalls there. Will they have to go?
Yeah, the town highway department wants them to be removed.
Right, so
and
they
relocated.
have to revise the plan as well.
Correct.
Yes, my client has no issue with that.
Does this application require any variances? I know we're not at that point yet, but
The resolution on for today will be to make a secret determination, which will allow the applicant to go before the zoning board and get a variance for a rear yard setback.
okay. The other thing is, I'm sure they haven't been to the ARB yet.
No.
I want the applicant to be mindful that we're in Polish Town, and St. Isidore's Church is across the street. Maybe some of the coloring or some of the architecture could be in line with St. Isidore's Church and Pulaski Street in the Polish Town vicinity, while it's still ink on paper.
Yes, I agree with your comments, Mr. Denisevsky.
Thank you. That's all I have.
So this is all one parcel,
Yes.
and the old, well, the brewery's there, that used to be Agway, and the build-out with this proposed building is allowable for this, for one parcel, to have separate uses?
I could look into that for you, but in industrial C, it is allowed to have warehousing in industrial C zoning.
Is the storage gonna be related to the brewery?
No, it's a self-storage unit.
No.
So it's a separate owner that's building it than the brewery?
Yes.
Yes.
The site is owned by 817 Pulaski and hello?
Yep, we hear.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know if you could hear me. And Long Island Brewery is a tenant.
Long Island Brewery is a tenant, okay. So will any easements have to be recorded, for utilities or anything?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I can't quite hear you.
They wanted to know if any easements would be required for the utility.
For the utility, the overhead wires on Marcy, or are you talking about Pulaski?
Well, sewer and water.
Sewer and water.
Sewer, we have already contacted the sewer department and actually had a meeting with a representative with them, I believe, last year. And the property will be hooking up to the sewer district. As far as easements for that, I'm sure if there is an easement required, that the sewer district will let us know about that.
Okay,
Parking stalls, what's the size of?
size of the parking stalls?
The size of the parking stalls are currently 9 by 20.
9 by 10.
9 by 20, some of them are 10 by 20, but the ones that are being proposed are 9 by 20.
So, the parking, you had mentioned, how many spots are there now?
You don't like that,
103.
103, and we're going down to 53.
The required is 53.
Okay, and what is it going to be, though? A total of?
As far as what's required,
Yeah.
required is 53 spaces, but what's on site now is 103. They're
We're gonna be
providing-
losing a bunch, right?
Yeah, they would lose a total of 9 spaces if they're moving them out of the town right of way.
Only 9 spaces, okay, so my question is, a lot of people use that area to park. Are there any agreements or covenants on other properties to use this for parking? Do we know that?
That's something I can look into.
Yeah, I don't know if the
I'm
Polish.
sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you repeat the question?
Can you,
Yeah, he wanted to know if there are any covenants or restrictions for allowing people to park along Marcy Avenue that are in those parking stalls that are within the town right of way.
No, my clients are amenable to taking those stalls as the town's right of way. That's not an issue.
Right, but my question is does anyone like the church or the Polish Hall have any agreements or anything in writing or covenants that they're allowed to use parking on that corner?
No, they don't.
Okay,
They don't.
thank you.
And this is just going to be storage, that's going to be the use?
Yeah, self-storage.
So I would like to see a little more detail on how these storage units are gonna be situated and how people would access it, in and out, with people at the brewery, outside seating at the brewery, I guess you noted on here, and how people would be going in and out and accessing these storage units.
Okay.
Because we really can't tell, how, I don't know if it's gonna be garage, garage doors, the typical
Yep.
self-storage.
Did you have this?
No, I don't
Detail
have
in the
it.
architectural plan?
No.
I have a copy.
We
Yeah.
have to revise the plan anyway, to incorporate,
Okay.
Mr. Flood's comments, so we could, detail that as well.
We can revise it to 10 by 20, so, there's some other letter on this subject.
So what you're calling the rear elevation is shown as north, which would be facing the back of the brewery. Is that correct?
Yes.
Kim, can you repeat it for me, please? She obviously can't hear us.
Did you hear that, Kim?
No, I'm sorry.
He said the rear view of the architectural plans, the northern view, would be facing the brewery, correct?
Hold on a second, I'm just, getting the plan up on my computer. Unfortunately, my elevation is sideways on the computer. Mr. Carey, what page are you on? I'm sorry.
So this is, A215.
A215?
Yeah, so really it's saying the front of the building, the front elevation is south, which would be facing the railroad tracks. And that's where all the garage doors are, so,
Right, it says front elevation
the front is what?
from the south view. Yeah, I see what you're saying, the front elevation from the south, yes.
Okay, so that's
The
facing.
rear elevation north.
The ice plant.
Right, so they'll be going along the back of the property, along the railroad to access the buildings and not, behind the brewery. That was my question. Okay. Thank you.
There's a letter from let's see who it's, James Farley, addressed to, I guess, Jeff and yourself, as he, not too happy about the, planning for the general area. Did you got it?
Yes.
Yep, you got it.
I did look into a couple of his comments, and some of his comments, one referring to the traffic impact study or the traffic. The full environmental assessment form workbook administered by New York State DEC. The FAA workbook identifies that a threshold for a warehousing project to generate a significant increase in traffic which would warrant preparation of a TIS is 180,000 square feet of floor area. The project in question proposes a total of 50,050 square feet of floor area, which is roughly 66% below the current threshold.
Yeah, that project does not need a traffic study, in my opinion.
I'm sorry, gentlemen, I can't hear. Whose comments are you reading?
I'm reading off the resolution, Kim.
Oh, okay, I thought there was some comments from somebody that, okay.
That's yes. Repeat what I just said.
I just said, in my opinion, I don't think it warrants a traffic study.
Yeah, Ed said it doesn't warrant a traffic study.
Okay.
And then addressing Mr. Farley's other comments are with regards to historic structures. I know St. Isidore's is with a little less than
I'm
500.
sorry, whose comments are these?
He emailed the town prior to the meeting with concerns about the proposed project.
Okay, well, when we schedule a public hearing, he's free to come and,
Right,
and
well-
speak to the board about it.
We did.
What was the gentleman's name?
Jim Farley.
He's on the downtown revitalization?
Yes.
Okay.
So we did receive some other email comments on this project today, and they were more in reference to the secret determination and how it was posted on the town website, and basically questioning the process that we're going through, that whether or not it's accurate and was properly posted on the website. So,
It was posted on the website, I saw it.
no, not only it's not necessarily the resolution that came into question, it was.
The site plan itself.
Well, not only the site plan, but the EAF, right?
Was that posted?
The EAF was not posted.
Okay. So the board can choose to, table the resolution for 2 weeks, and in the meantime, we can get that information posted on the website, and if that's the board's desire.
Yes. I know the one comment that we received, Carissa advised that resident, and forgive me, I don't remember their name, that there was gonna be in fact a public hearing and the public would have an opportunity to comment on this project. But as far as the SECRA comment that I had received directly, I really didn't have an answer for, and I was actually gonna recommend, if it was supposed to be posted and wasn't, it was an oversight, that we table the resolution for tonight.
Yep. I think, in fairness to everyone, until we determine it's not going to, hurt anybody, we'll get the information posted, and at which time we can revisit the resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have to pay extra attention.
Can
to
you
the
guys,
public-
I can't really hear, I'm sorry.
Kim, this is Jeff Murphy. What I just recommended, a lot of the information was not posted on the website, including the EAF. What my recommendation is to table the resolution for a period of 2 weeks until such time that we can get that information posted so that the public has access to it. I don't know if you have any comments about that.
Okay, so it's being tabled for 2 weeks to put the EAF on the town's website?
Correct.
Okay, is that the only issue?
For the resolution,
For now,
but I
yeah.
mean, we're gonna have the public hearing and see what other comments come up.
Yeah, I think, Kim, you're just referring to the resolution, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so then I still can't I still can't have my application processed for the variance until this resolution
Have you-
hopefully is passed in the
Kim,
future.
Kim, this is Jeff
Yeah.
Murphy again. Have you you've applied to the zoning board? Carissa,
Yeah.
has it been scheduled?
Yeah.
Okay, it has not
No,
been
it
scheduled
hasn't-
yet.
it was, yeah, it has not been scheduled. It was submitted pre-COVID,
Okay.
and I believe this was the next step in order to get the ZBA application on for a public hearing, was the secret resolution.
Okay, you could still go forward with the secret, the ZBA application, excuse me. They just
Okay.
would not be able to render a decision until the secret has been completed by the planning board.
Okay. I would also ask that if I could get a copy of the comments, the public comments that you received today, so I can respond to them as well.
Kim, yes, if you submit a FOIL request, we'll get those right to you.
Okay,
Terrific, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
George, do you have anything before we move on?
No, I had a question about how we're gonna clean up that, lot of parking on the right of way, but I can ask it again, it's not important right now.
Okay.
George, this is Jeff Murphy. The applicant has agreed to get rid of that parking within the right of way.
I know, but it seems that on the portion on Marcy, if you take a look at the relationship to the parking, and then you take a look at the house that's next to it, it seems that the house is in there. I don't quite understand how that whole thing is going to be cleaned up, and I can tell you that they do use that parking, in that area for the Polish town,
Polish
Civic, the Polish Town
Polish
Civic
Hall.
Association, whatever.
Yeah, the Polish Hall.
Yeah. Yeah, Polish Hall, they use that all the time, so, But if there's no, obviously, if there's no covenant,
Right.
it'll just have to disappear. You know, if
Yeah.
there's no restriction, it'll just have to disappear.
I did speak with the highway superintendent, George Woodson, and it was his desire to get rid of that parking in the town right away as well.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to the next, application, number 2 on the agenda, Verizon at Old Steeple Church. Okay, John?
Alright, so the planning department has received and reviewed a site plan application to co-locate a public utility wireless communications facility within the steeple and basement of the existing church building. The proposed modifications will be made to an existing telecommunications facility on a 1.2 acre parcel located at 656 Main Road in Aquabog within the village center district. The surrounding area is predominantly within the Hamlet residential, rural corridor, zoning districts. All the equipment will be put behind the louvers in the steeple, so there will be no visual impact. The proposed action is unlisted. With regards to seeker, according to view is optional, not recommended. Staff recommends that the planning board assume lead agency, status for seeker, without the need for coordinated review and issue a negative declaration.
Hey, John?
Yes.
Did we have to call an applicant for this one, or no?
He didn't have a 631 phone number for the.
Okay.
So he asked me, any comments the board may have, I can submit them to him via email.
Okay.
So the proposed work to the unmanned wireless broadband facility as proposed in the site plan consists of the following: to install 8 new antennas, install 4 new AWS PCS band RRH units, install 8 new twin triplexers, install 16 diplexers, install 4 new main distribution with new trough within the partial replacement of the existing steeple. As part of the proposed action, the existing outer wood sheathing boards of a 10-foot by 4-foot-inch portion of the steeple would need to be removed be removed and replaced with radio frequency compatible sheathing boards designed to match the dimensions and architecture of the existing steeple, and existing steeple railing would be removed and replaced with an RF compatible rating. They're also going to install cabinet equipment and a battery equipment atop a new concrete pad, a new power and telco cabinet, and new chain link fence. With regards to the RF analysis, the proposed RF level from the combination of the proposed and existing antenna operation at the site is 19.4360% of the FCC MPE limit, which is more than 5 times below the limit established for safe continuous human exposure. They submitted the structural analysis for the wood frame steeple, and the report stated that the existing wooden frame steeple can withstand the dead loads, additional loads from antenna and from the design winds, and has determined that the steeple, 6-foot by 8-foot Douglas fir number 2 beams, will be able to withstand the anticipated wind, gravity, and antenna loadings.
Is that stamped by a licensed professional?
Yes, by New York State PE.
Thank you.
They also submitted a mount certification letter, stamped and signed by Sean P. Cunningham, a New York State licensed PE, which analyzed the proposed steeple-mounted equipment and found that the new antenna mount with new equipment can withstand the loading from the equipment, and the determination was based upon the 2015 New York State Building Code. With regards to Suffolk County Planning Commission, any minor additions less than 1,000 square feet with no change to use or occupancy do not require referral. And at this time, staff does not recommend approval right now, as they will need to go before the ARB for the new RF compatible roof, to make sure that it's architecturally sound and it's approved.
You said something here about an ag data statement.
Yes, the ag data statement, when I reviewed this application initially, they did not supply the ag data statement, which according to New York State Ag and Markets Law, if they're within 500 feet of an agricultural district, they need to submit us pre-state postage, and we will send the ag letter out. Since then, they have supplied it, and the letters have gone out, and I'm just waiting for the receipt to be signed and returned to the office.
Good.
This kind of application, ag data. We had an application like a couple of months prior to this, for this.
Here is
application.
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile, that was changed.
Yeah, T-Mobile's still having their equipment inside the church. It's now Verizon's proposing to put some equipment in.
T-Mobile has the equipment inside the church?
Yes.
And Verizon will be outside.
Yeah, well, some of the equipment will be beneath the wooden boards on top of the steeple, so they're proposing to remove part of the wooden steeple roofing and replace it with RF compatible, so the communications pass through the roof.
I would recommend that when this is in progress, to, let the fire marshal know the situation.
Okay.
In this building, there's a basement that, has children games and adult meetings, and a short distance away is all this, equipment that is on the ground level. Unless what I read here is a change of style, because now they're talking about a fencing on the outside.
Yeah, they're proposing to put some of the equipment will be in the basement of the church,
Yeah.
and then some of
Okay.
the antennas and everything will be underneath the steeple.
And I'd like the fire marshal to take a look at the basement,
Okay.
all right? For, safety purposes.
Just for the record, Jeff Murphy speaking. When the building permit application comes in, they also have to submit an application to the chief fire marshal. So it's a separate permit, and they do review all the cell tower applications.
Are they proposing a generator here?
I didn't see anything in the application, but that's something I can ask the applicant if they're gonna propose a generator.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just answered my question, and that was, on the proposed work, everything is installed, but there's nothing to be removed, because this is a new tenant, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And my other comment is, unfortunately, I feel that, all the engineering work that's submitted, these people all work for Verizon, so naturally, they are going to eventually give a favorable report. And I think that when we get situations like this, especially when we're fooling around with an old church and an old steeple, that an outside engineering firm should be hired to review everything to make sure that it works. That would be for the town.
Okay.
I know I've said this before, and we've sort of, the town board has to really make that decision, I understand that, but that's the way I feel.
Okay.
So T-Mobile's up there now,
Yes.
and where's their equipment, outside?
Some of their equipment is in the basement, as well as some of the antennas that they have underneath the steeple as well.
Did the RF analysis take into consideration, both T-Mobile's equipment and what Verizon is proposing?
Yes.
We sure?
Yep, I'm positive.
I know at at 19.43, that seems like a high number, although I see that it is well below the FCC limit. But that's one of the higher numbers I've seen in a long time for those emissions. And I know at various sites that I'm familiar with, these cell providers have to post warning signs for their workers who do work there. I think it's OSHA required, and, you know, if they work so many hours, they have to be aware of it, they have to be posted, you know, throughout the property. So I'm wondering where these signs would be posted on the church, and obviously that the parishioners of the church would be made aware of this.
Yes.
So I'd like to press them on that a little bit.
Make sure they consult with the parishioners.
not so much consult with them, but where are they gonna mount these warning signs? And has everyone involved been made aware of, you know, these emissions and the levels that they're gonna be exposed to, when they go to the church? I think, Dick, you mentioned that kids are in the basement for activities, right? You had mentioned that you know the church and that kids are in the basement for activities?
Yeah, there's adult meetings and, you know, it's ground floor, ground level, and, there's some children activities and adult activities.
It's just a concern.
Okay. I'll let the applicant's attorney know.
Okay.
They also need ZBA?
ZBA, no.
No?
George, do you have anything?
No, my concerns were the same as you. It seems awfully high for me. Now, they're alleging that it's 5 times below the limit established, but if you say it's for both companies, I would just keep an eye on the fact that they don't continue to add other companies, and do they have to come back to us if they do?
Yeah, they do.
Can they use existing equipment? You know, do they always have to add? I'm not that well versed with that. Wouldn't want it to go any higher.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot of weight going in that steeple to me, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I read it myself, and it's saying 6x8s, and, you know, and the PE stamped it,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, if there isn't any other questions, do you have something?
No.
We'll move to item 3 on the agenda, Suffolk Foot and Ankle.
Good afternoon, Jefferson Murphy. I'm going to be giving just a board a brief update on this. This was assigned to Greg Bergman, but he's not able to be with us this evening. This is an application for Suffolk Foot and Ankle, site plan application located at 976 Roanoke Avenue, tax map number 107-1-56. This is an application to improve an existing professional medical office by expanding the existing parking area, installing a drainage system, and performing lighting and landscaping improvements. This is a type 2 action pursuant to SECRA. Before the planning board could act on this, it did need variances from the zoning board of appeals, and on May 28th, they did get those variances granted. The town planning board earlier this year declared that this could be reviewed as administrative site plan review without the need for a public hearing. You have a resolution on for your agenda later today to approve the application.
Are they presently operating Foot and Ankle? Are they presently using? the
I do
building?
not believe so.
Is it vacant?
I believe it is.
So this was dated February. Did we get any fire marshal comments?
I'm sorry?
This is dated from February.
Yes, there was no subsequent report. There's no other report other than that.
So the fire marshal didn't comment either?
I have to check the file.
I just asked because he said at the time they were pending.
Yeah, and let me just check the file real quick, see if there's any. I do not see anything in the file that indicates that he did provide comments.
All right, so,
If you want, we can table it until next meeting.
well, I don't know, can we just add to the resolution, subject to any fire marshal comments, so we don't have to
Yes.
hold it up?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just, amend the resolution to include that.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right, no public hearing scheduled tonight. Public comments on resolutions. Again, the only ones we had received were on 817 Pulaski. And we are going to have a public hearing on that. Public will be able to participate, and about the secret process and the posting of the EAF. So I believe we're gonna table that tonight. All right, so with that, we'll take up the resolutions.
I'll move resolution 33, the impretorial residence, chapter 19 application.
Second the motion?
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve resolution 33 for the Impretori Residence, chapter 219. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, resolution is approved.
Make a motion that we table resolution number 24 of the Riverhead Planning Board for 817 Pulaski. So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made and
Second.
motion made and seconded to table resolution 34 for 817 Pulaski Street. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is tabled. Number 3.
Move resolution number 35 for Suffolk Foot and Ankle as amended. So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve resolution 35 as amended for Suffolk Foot and Ankle. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is approved.
Move resolution number 36 for a public hearing for Bates and Barrels portable container range. So moved.
Second.
A motion made and seconded to schedule a public hearing for Bates and Barrels, resolution 36. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is approved. Carissa, did we have any other public comments that we received today other than what was already mentioned? No, sir. All right, thank you.
Make a motion that we move the minutes of May 21st, 2020. So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of May 21st, 2020. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are approved. Any other business for the board?
No,
Any
sir.
discussion? Okay, we'll just continue to be safe. Next meeting, Thursday, June 18th, 2020 at 3 PM. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you and good night.
Will the public,